37 per 1,000 births. These gut-wrenching statistics are not just numbers. They represent our people, our parents, our brothers, our sisters, and our children. This is a call for action. Our planet is crying for help. Antonio Guterres, the Secretary General of the UN, was in Nepal on 30th October, and he said, and I quote, "I'm here today to cry out from the rooftop of the world, stop this madness. The glaciers are retreating, but we cannot," unquote. These glaciers are a crucial source of water for the quarter of mankind that lives in our subcontinent. Ladies and gentlemen, the cornerstone of every thriving society is quality education. Accessible, high-quality education is the catalyst that fosters cognitive, emotional, and social growth and propels a country towards sustainable development. As children are the architect of tomorrow, providing them with access to quality education is essential in nurturing a generation who can contribute to Pakistan's advancement. The annual Status of Education report, ASER, of 2022 shows that nearly half of our students in primary school lack adequate literacy and numeracy skills. Unable to even read a story in any language or perform simple division sums. Startling indeed. In a world where technology rules and where the velocity of knowledge constantly accelerates at a more and more dizzying pace, we risk sacrificing our future generations to ignorance and historical irrelevance. A paradigm shift is imperative in the educational discourse, which moves beyond mere student enrollment figures to a more nuanced evaluation of the quality of education and the expertise of teachers. Failing to allocate budgets wisely, we have let our children down by denying them essential resources for learning. We need to invest not only in upgrading our infrastructure, but in providing quality learning materials for our students, in modernizing our assessment systems, and in the professional development of our teachers. Ladies and gentlemen, today we have no choice but to act. If we are to rise above the looming threat of ignorance and irrelevance, our only hope is to seize the possibilities that are abound. From the recent booming revolution in artificial intelligence to redesigning our curricula, the possibilities for growth are endless. As a global publisher, OUP is committed to embracing technology in the right way, so we can provide education for all. We firmly believe that education should always drive technology, not the other way around. Our educational aspirations go beyond classrooms and textbooks to the metaverse of blended learning, where digital technology enhances the student learning experience. We envision a future where our students become not only critical thinkers, but global contributors. By cultivating a rich educational experience that blends academic rigor with practical skills, we are shaping individuals ready to embrace the challenges and opportunities of a globalized world. Oxford University Press, the organization I head in Pakistan, is certainly relevant to the development dialogue. We provide quality educational resources developed for local needs on up-to-date pedagogical principles, utilizing digital and blended content for improving learning outcomes. We are also a source for quality teacher training, equipping teachers with global best practices in teacher training and learning. And to add to this continuing dialogue, I'm delighted to announce that Oxford University Press is bringing the globally renowned Oxford AQA qualifications in Pakistan. And ladies and gentlemen, we are fortunate today to have with us Mr. Andrew Coombe, who is the Managing Director of Oxford AQA, here with us in Pakistan. A big hand for Mr. Andrew Coombe. The introduction of this examination board will bring the IGCSE and A-level qualifications to Pakistan. First teaching is scheduled to commence from August 2024. OUP's signature activities, like the Karachi and Islamabad Literature Festivals, are meant to generate interest and excitement towards books and learning across the country. What they represent is a vital fusion of ideas and concepts and a robust celebration of scholarship. As we come together to discuss people, planet, and possibilities, let us remind ourselves of the role of poetry and prose in our lives and in our experiences as individuals. In a world threatened by repression and destruction, literature stands as a testament to the enduring resilience of the human spirit. It nurtures our thinking, breaks down walls, and offers pathways of hope and understanding. Through the beauty of words, we find a common ground that unites us in our shared humanity, providing a beacon of light in the darkest of times. In acknowledging the gravity of today's challenges, let us collectively look beyond the uncertainty and explore the realm of possibilities that tomorrow holds. The human spirit, ingrained with the tenacity to find solutions, propels us forward in the face of adversity. This is especially true of Pakistan, where our people have continually shown and continue to show a special national spirit. Ladies and gentlemen, so long as there exists this spirit, which revels in struggle and in overcoming problems, there will always be hope for the future. And that, to me, is embodied in all the creative energy that we will observe over the next 3 days at the ILF. To return to our festival, ILF is spread over 2.5 days, starting today, featuring 53 sessions with about 150 speakers. The sessions include the sessions include debates, discussions, talks, mushairas, poetry, recitals, book launches, and readings. Before I end, I would like to thank the incredible ILF team led by Rahila Bakai and her team for putting together this fantastic festival. A very big thank you to members of our advisory committee, Ms. Muniza Shamsi, Mr. Iftikhar Arif, Mr. Salman Tariq Qureshi, Mr. Haris Khaliq, Mr. Amina Aziz Ayub, for their valuable input for this festival. A very big thank you to our title sponsor, Getz Pharma, without whose support this festival would not have been possible. A sincere thanks to the Capital Development Authority of Islamabad for their generous support and permission to hold the festival in this wonderful setting of the F9 Park at the Gandhara Citizen Club. And last but not the least, let me thank all of you for being here today. Welcome to the Islamabad Literature Festival. Thank you.
So we're going to play musical chairs. So it seems. Thank you for that very comprehensive introduction. Arshad Saeed Hussain Saab, of course, a huge thank you to Oxford, a huge thank you to Rahila Bakai and Arshad Saab for making this happen, but a huge thank you to all of you, because it is your presence here that makes Literature Festival what it is. And it is your engagement for 2.5 days which is going to make it a memorable event. Arshad साहब ने बताया कि गेट्स फार्मा के बहुत मशहूर हैं और आपको पता है जो स्पॉन्सर्स होते हैं वही सब कुछ होते हैं, क्योंकि अगर स्पॉन्सर्स ना हो तो इवेंट बहुत मुश्किल हो जाता है, करना हो जाता है, लेकिन जब फोर्थ कमिंग स्पॉन्सर्स हों तो इवेंट करना बहुत आसान हो जाता है. हम बहुत मशहूर हैं गेट्स फार्मा के, और इसलिए भी क्योंकि खालिद महमूद साहब जो हैं वो ही इज़ टेकन कॉर्पोरेट सोशल रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी टू द नेक्स्ट लेवल. ही इज़ नोन फॉर हिज कमिटमेंट टू एजुकेशन, टू एनवायरनमेंट and to many other such causes. And it is this commitment that allows festivals like these to happen. So Khalid Mahmood Saab, we are eager to hear you. Thank you.
Thank you, Rahila. Thank you, Huma, for your kind words. Honorable guests, honorable luminaries, participants, Mr. Arshad Saeed Hussain, guest of honor, Her Excellency Jane Marriott, and Iftikhar Arif Sahab, and Victoria Shofil Saiba, Adab. Good evening. I am really honored to be here at the 9th Islamabad Literature Festival in this picturesque and historic land of Gandhara, and would like to start by congratulating OUP on making this event a reality. This gathering is a testament to our shared appreciation for literature and culture, which results in opening our minds and enriching our souls. The Islamabad Literature Festival, like its Karachi's counterpart, has the unique power to bring people of diverse backgrounds and interests together, celebrating and preserving our rich literary and cultural heritage. About 18 odd years ago, I may be wrong with the years, Getz Pharma joined hands with OUP, and we have not looked back ever since, and have on most of those years been a very proud partner, supporter of OUP. And some other literature festivals which are now taking place all over Sindh, in Hyderabad, in Multan, in Rahim Yar Khan, and it's a wonderful thing. Although I understand that in Bhabalpur and Rahimyar Khan, they had been having these festivals for the last at least 50 years. So I'm glad that it's coming to the big cities and more people. And of course, OUP has a big contribution towards this goal. So we have not looked back ever since, because our values align seamlessly with those celebrated at this festival, and which are the power of storytelling, the richness of language and culture, the endless beauty of creativity, and understanding and respecting diversity. In our education system, we are not taught, the students here are not taught the humanities, history, other information about other religions, and as a result, the students, especially in the fields of sciences, walk out with a degree in hand which teaches them how to build roads or buildings or machines and other electronic gadgetry, etc. But they have very little understanding of human values, values of other, appreciation of other cultures, appreciation of other religions, appreciation of other faiths. And I think that may be very rich, they get quite rich in their material things, but I think their souls are not enriched very much. And it is these festivals such as these which educate those who are not educated where they are supposed to be educated, and for which they pay for their fees. This year's themes, People, Planet, Possibilities, beautifully encapsulates the values of Getz Pharma, that of our board, our employees, and our colleagues who make Getz Pharma happen. We believe that it is the duty of everyone who is endowed with resources, every corporate, whether they are in the agriculture sector or whether they are in the manufacturing sector or service sector, to fill the gap which is supposed to be delivered by the state. I am sorry to say that the state does not do their job to provide avenues, to provide scholarships, to provide stipends to the people who can do this, provide this kind of education. Therefore, Getz Pharma has come forward throughout its existence in doing very little, dropping a drop in the ocean. We at Getz Pharma, we contribute to skill development and education for the underprivileged, preservation of art and culture, and we give equal value to all the other parts of our CSR programs. We provide environmental awareness for environmental conservation and supporting the health for the underprivileged to the extent that we can afford it. These are the values we live and breathe. The living proof of today's theme, which is of equal importance, is that sustainability and the climate is very important. We all know that people with as diverse ideologies as the Pope and the great historian Noam Chomsky, when he was asked what is it that threatens humanity, the Pope did not say it is that the people do not go to church as much as they should, and Noam Chomsky did not say that it is wars. It is, although unfortunately in the last 2 years, or at least the last 3 months, it seems like that it is certainly around. But he said, and both of them said, that it is climate change. So in Pakistan, unfortunately, people, our policy makers, blame the climate change on the Western or big countries, Western countries. I, being a student of environment and climate change, I disagree. I think this may be true, but we do not do enough to preserve our own environment, to clean our rivers, to clean our oceans, and to other things. So when Getz Pharma set up a new factory, a huge 2 million square feet of a modern factory, we tried to make a model and lead from the front. And our plant is the first LEED certified, Leadership in Engineering, Environment and Design certified green building, rated up to the platinum level by the US Green Business Council. Thank you. And this is the only plant which is rated up to the platinum level in the entire South Asia. So there's none in India, none in Bangladesh, none in Sri Lanka, but there is one in Karachi. So Karachi does have a few good things also. And we're concretely speaking, this plant will reduce 3,000 tons of hydrocarbons, which it would otherwise would not have reduced. It will recycle 80% of the water that it uses in the process. And a pharma plant does use a lot of water, almost about 200,000 gallons per day. So we save that water, and every drop of water that goes into our oceans is clean. This in a city which drops, which for lack of a better word, dumps 600 million gallons of raw, untreated effluent into the sea every single day. So I think that some people, some of the factories in our area, in our city will, and of course in other cities where rivers are, like Lahore, where the rivers are the top 10 poisonous rivers in the world, the factory owners and the managers there, they will hopefully do their bit to clean the ocean. This year at ILF, Getz Pharma hosts a session on the Human Capital Index. The Human Capital Index measures the skills, health, and knowledge, ultimately knowledge essential of any country's development. To grow, we need diversified exposure and education beyond the traditional medical means, so that there is a capacity of critical thinking is built into our students, into our children. But unfortunately, this is not done. And again, once again, I would thank all the literature festivals of this country who are contributing towards this. The absence of these subjects in our education system and a lack of cultural support by the state has restricted the economic and industrial growth of our nation. Therefore, we must fill the gap. As the highest exporting pharmaceutical company and the 33rd largest taxpayer in the country, we take pride in our ability to contribute to intellectual poverty alleviation in this country. As we come together at this festival, I hope it inspires each of us to connect with our roots, share our unique stories, and make a positive impact to the world. Thank you for being here and for being part of this wonderful celebration. Thank you, OUP, and thank you all.
बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया खालिद साहब. A huge thank you from Karachi. कम से कम I stand educated. मुझे ये बिल्कुल नहीं पता था. So I become your multiplier. I'll carry it forward. A huge thank you from Pakistan. And of course, a huge thank you from Oxford. Festivals such as these and the way they've created a multiplier effect in all over Pakistan, now they've become household names and are attracting a lot of attention. We all know events such as these are lubricants of the society. Every society needs a lubricant. Having said this, you said your drop in the ocean. That drop in the ocean is extremely precious because we have 23 million children out of school as I stand here and talk to you. That is a number that should give us sleepless nights, Pakistan being the youngest country in the world. And with that, I am going to invite the guest of honor, Ms. Marriott, Jane Marriott, to the podium. We are also grateful to UK and Oxford through British Council, through Oxford University Press and various other forums in supporting the cause of education in Pakistan. Please put your hands together for the guest of honor.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's great to see you all here on this Friday evening for the opening of the ceremony of the Islamabad Literature Festival. As we've heard, it's 9 years since the ILF appeared in the already rich literary calendar of Pakistan, along with its sister festivals in Lahore and Karachi. And as you just mentioned, congratulations with, there's several UK links here today. Oxford University Press, who've partnered with the British Council to make sure that the UK continues to partner well and be represented here. And it's great to see Victoria Schofield back here in her second home of Pakistan as well. This is my first visit to the festival as High Commissioner, but I know it won't be my last for 3 reasons. And the first is that I've got a confession to make. Last week I got lost. I was sat on my sofa, and I don't read very much fiction. I've somehow sort of convinced myself that I should spend my time reading non-fiction. I should learn more about Pakistan and learn more about the Middle East and learn more about things that I don't know about. And I decided to sit down. It was just a spy thriller, and I sat down. And I got lost. And about an hour and a half later, I noticed that it was dark and I was late for an appointment that I was supposed to be going to. And it's allowing yourself to get lost. It's allowing your brain to be creative, to fire off, to unleash your imagination that just makes you realize how powerful all forms of literature are, but particularly those that allow us to be creative and allow our brains to roam free. And the second reason I'll be back here is that words matter. Now, you may think I would say that words matter because I'm a diplomat and the main toolcraft of my job is words. But I also say it because we know that from the foundational tools of learning, words are the world of self-expression and creativity. And that's why we celebrate events like this, because we know that words are a gateway to a greater understanding of ourselves, our experiences, and I hope of each other as well. Now, the relationship between writer and reader, and we have many in this audience today who are both, is obviously deeply personal. But at this festival, we all get to share what makes it special and find those universal moments that bind us together. And the third reason why I'm so glad to be here is that deep connection between the UK and Pakistan relationship, from our family ties to friendships to the formal relationships between our institutions and governments. The connections that bind us run deep, particularly in education and in culture. And that's why the UK has invested so much in Pakistan's future. And it's why I've made it one of my priorities here to unlock the learning potential of children. We've already heard that 23 million children are out of school. I think that's a pre-COVID number. It's even closer to 28 million today. That's more than the entire number of people in education in a country like Egypt, for example. And the UK remains steadfast in its support to the government of Pakistan and its many outstanding partners in ensuring that more children are in school, that they're staying longer, and that they're getting good quality education to learn more. Since 2011, the UK has benefited 11.5 million children, of whom half are girls, in primary school and nearly 6 million children in secondary school. Our partnership focuses on supporting the government to establish effective, inclusive and resilient education systems, providing quality education for all children, but particularly girls and the children of both genders who are the hardest to reach. Now, earlier this year, we marked the UK's decade-long partnership in education with our flagship bilateral education programme in Pakistan, which has delivered a combined portfolio of 275 billion rupees. And this was a key moment for us because it allowed us to reflect on our achievements, but also the lessons learnt that helped inform our future support to education in Pakistan. And in the first few months I've been here in Pakistan, I've met key stakeholders from across the board: politicians, government officials, education partners, thought leaders, media influencers, teachers, and most importantly, children themselves. And I've been impressed by the attention to education, as well as the commitment to do more from individuals and from institutions in this area. Just 2 weeks ago, I visited a school in Karachi, established and run by the Children's Foundation, witnessing firsthand how education is transforming the lives of individuals, families, and thus of whole communities. And here at this literary festival, as we look at the power of the written word and the role it plays in shaping our communities, let us not forget the millions of children here in Pakistan who are in urgent need of quality teaching, high-quality teaching, remedial support, quality textbooks, and supplementary reading materials in the many languages that are spoken across this magnificent country. Because we all know that learning to read is an essential building block for all other learning. It has the potential to open a world full of possibilities. As we say, learning to read is essential to being able to read to learn. Now, 8 in 10 children in Pakistan today who are at school cannot read a short paragraph with comprehension by the age of 10. And that's why the UK, along with our partners, is refocusing on our effort and our narrative onto foundational learning, the basic literacy, numeracy, and socio-emotional skills that will be the foundation of all other learning. And to demonstrate this commitment to all children reading by the age of 10, we're calling on our government partners, all political parties in their manifestos, and to all of you to encourage and introduce an hour of reading every day for every child in primary school. It's not a lot to ask, but it will be transformative to those children. And together we are committed to promoting a culture of reading through libraries, supporting teachers and engaging parents and communities through these reading campaigns. Now, at the forefront of demonstrating the commitment, and the UK at its creative, generous, outward-looking best in the UK, we have the British Council. You will have all heard, I know, of the British Council, and many older Pakistanis tell me wistfully of their fond memories as a youth of studying in the British Council libraries in Lahore and in Karachi. And I'm delighted to say that we have our new country director for British Council, James Hampson, with us today on the front row. Stand up and give us a twirl, James. Come on. The new head of the British Council, ladies and gentlemen, but not new to Pakistan. James was here a few years ago as one of the senior officials here and has been desperately trying to get back to Pakistan ever since. And as James likes to say, the British Council is in the optimism business. Not a naive, blind sort of optimism, but the optimism that connects us all, even in the tough times and especially at difficult moments, through language, through literature, and through the links that the British Council has specialised in creating between our two countries since the British Council opened their doors in the new nation of Pakistan in 1947. For example, the UK-Pakistan season that took place during your 75th anniversary celebrations last year was a moment to showcase the artistic and creative partnership between the two countries, reaching an astounding 85 million people through its media reach. That's more than the whole of the UK. And in the last few weeks, the British Council have launched the UK's Cultural Protection Fund, which is going to build partnerships that support and protect Pakistan's amazing, incredible heritage while helping people create a living from their history. Now, the theme of this year's Islamabad Literary Festival, as you know, is People, Planet and Possibilities. And that brings me to reflect briefly on another important chapter of our work here in Pakistan, the environment and climate change, and the impact that this is having on the livelihoods of an already vulnerable population, particularly on children's education. Pakistan has done very, very little, almost nothing, to contribute to the climate change challenge that now faces the world. But it is the 8th most climate vulnerable country in the world. The floods in 2022 affected the education of over 3.5 million children. It damaged 35% of government school infrastructure in the regions most affected by the floods. And to address this, we're calling for collective efforts to ensure the continuity of education in the face of these climate shocks, because I'm sad to say the 2022 floods will not be the last climate shock that Pakistan or any of our countries face. So we need to make sure that we have that learning recovery in the face of these shocks. So just to conclude, I want to say that all of the examples of our work here in Pakistan are built on the principles of partnership, and that's an important message that I want to bring here today, because the UK-Pakistan partnership is one for the ages. Now, we've had our moments of historical challenges in the past, but ours is a friendship that is a long friendship, it is a deep friendship, and it is one that is based on mutual respect. We may not always agree on everything, but our success is clearly and forever linked together. And when we talk about the importance of this festival, it's not just about the importance of this festival. We should also have a conversation about the role the creative industries play in the development of an economy, having done so much for our own, contributing £100 million a year to the British economy. And it's why when we have difficult things to discuss, we can come back to days like this and find those universal moments that bind us together. I just want to give, before I close, I'd just like to ask all the red T-shirt volunteers, can you just put your hands up? You're dotted around the room. You just have a look around the room and see all these amazing people with the red T-shirts. I think there's a few more outside as well, but thank you so much for being the volunteers who've given your time, who care passionately about literature, for bringing us all together today and making sure, working hard behind the scenes, that this goes so smoothly. So thank you to all of you, and keep reading. Shukriya.
आपका बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया. Pakistan remains grateful for the partnership, the support, and the strategic understanding that Britain has always provided to the country. तो जनाब आप जहाँ बैठे हैं उसके लिए भी किसी का शुक्रिया अदा करना है, और उसके लिए मैं गुजारिश करूँगी नुमान खालिद साहब से कि वो तशरीफ़ लाएं और कुछ कहें.
Thank you very much for inviting. We at CDA, I must first congratulate all the organizers and the sponsors for putting such a great event. This is my first time attending such an event, and I'm deeply impressed. I think we need to hold such events more and more and create more awareness, because education and literature, this is the pillar of our nation, and we need to work towards creating more such events that can create awareness for all of us. So thank you very much for arranging this lovely event, and we at CDA firmly believe that these are the events that can create more awareness in the society, and as an organization, we're always here to support such events. Thank you.
So CDA and Numan Khalid Saab, thank you for having us. अच्छा जी, अब जिसका हम सबको बहुत इंतज़ार था, हमारे लिए बहुत इज़्ज़त की बात है, एज़ाज़ की बात है कि इफ्तिखार आरिफ साहब तशरीफ़ लाएं. उनकी तबीयत नासाज है. फिर भी इफ्तिखार आरिफ साहब ने ज़हमत की, वो आए. इफ्तिखार आरिफ साहब, अगर आप बैठ के भी बात करना चाहें तो ठीक है. अब तो इफ्तिखार आरिफ साहब कह गए, वो आ गए. आइए प्लीज़.
बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम. अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह कफ़ा व सलामुन अला इबादिहिल सफ़ा. ख़वातीन और हज़रात, मैंने अरशद से भी और राहिला से भी हमारे यहाँ क्योंकि माज़रत को तकल्लुफ़ समझा जाता है, मगर बाज़ औक़ात माज़रत दुरुस्त भी होती है. میں تو اب اس منزل میں ہوں زندگی کی کہ جہاں یہ سب باتیں بہت مشکل لگتی ہیں. بہت ہی مہربانی ارشد کی کہ یہ یاد رکھتے ہیں, اور راحیلہ مجھے تنگ کرتی رہتی ہیں تو میں اب ان کو میں کیا کہوں. میں اردو میں تقریر کر رہا ہوں اس لیے کہ انگریزی والی بات میری سمجھ میں نہیں آتی. میں بہت دیر برطانیہ میں آپ یقین کیجئے گا کہ میں 13-14 برس میں نے برطانیہ میں گزارے, اور 2 برس پڑھنے کے سلسلے میں میں نے امریکہ میں بھی گزارے, مگر آج تک میں بہت دور سے اگر انگریزی سنوں تو بالکل سمجھ میں نہیں آتی. اگر قریب سے ایک دوسرے سے بات کروں تو سمجھ میں آتی. خیر, یہ میری کوتاہی ہے اور مجھے معذرت کرنی چاہیے, مگر اس طرح کے سامعین کے سامنے جہاں اتنے ادیب شاعر بیٹھے ہوں اردو کے, وہاں اردو میں بات کر لینے میں مذائقہ نہیں ہے, مگر بین الاقوامی نمائندے بیٹھے ہوتے ہیں, اداروں کے نمائندے بیٹھے ہوتے ہیں, تو وہاں یہ لازم ہوتا ہے کہ انگریزی میں گفتگو کی جائے اور ان کی بات سنی جائے. ایکسلنسی برٹش ہائی کمیشن, بہت ہی محترم ہماری دوست پرانی اور ہماری ایک طرح سے محسن بھی ہیں, وکٹوریہ اسکوفیلڈ یہاں تشریف فرمائیں. میری والی جنریشن جو ہے, آج سے میں نے فرض کیجئے 40 برس پہلے والی وکٹوریہ اسکوفیلڈ کو آپ یاد کریں تو میں جب سے ان کو جانتا ہوں, اور جب سے یہ بے نظیر کو جانتی تھی, اور میں نے ان کو ایک بہت اچھا اسکالر بھی دیکھا اور بہت اچھا دوست بھی دیکھا. ویری لائل فرینڈ ٹو بے نظیر بھٹو اینڈ بھٹوز ان پاکستان. اچھا, بھٹو فیملی جو ہے اس کا ایک یہ بھی ہے مسئلہ کہ اس سے بے وفائی لوگوں نے بہت کی, مگر وکٹوریہ ان لوگوں میں ہیں جو وفادار رہیں, اور اس کی داد ان کو دی جانی چاہیے. میں اردو میں لکھ کر کچھ لایا ہوں, بیچ میں ایک آدھ بات کہوں گا اپنے وقت میں. صدر نشینان مجلس, مہمانان عزیز, کتاب لکھنے والوں, کتاب پڑھنے والوں, کتاب کی طباعت اور اشاعت سے وابستہ افراد اور کتاب دوستوں کے اس میلے میں آپ کی تشریف آوری باعث تمانیت ہے. آکسفورڈ یونیورسٹی پریس کے رفقائے کار اور خاص طور پر اس کے بہت ہی متحرک سربراہ ارشد سعید حسین کو مبارکباد کہ انہوں نے وفاقی دارالحکومت میں کتاب میلے کا اہتمام اور انعقاد کی روایت کو بحال کیا. راحیلہ پچھلے برس سے لگی ہوئی تھیں اور وہ اس میں کامیاب ہوئی, ان کو مبارکباد دینا چاہیے کہ یہ نواں میلہ ہے جو اس جگہ پر منعقد کیا گیا ہے. خواتین و حضرات, یہ کتاب میلہ جس مقام پر منعقد ہو رہا ہے, میں سامعین میں بہت سے لوگ حاضرین مجلس میں دیکھ رہا ہوں جو مجھ سے زیادہ اس موضوع پہ گفتگو کر سکتے ہیں, مگر چونکہ نوجوان بیٹھے ہوئے ہیں اور شاید یہ کہیں اور بھی نشر ہو, تو میں نے ایک آدھ بات بالکل سامنے کی کہی ہے, لیکن اس لیے کہی ہے کہ نوجوانوں کے ذہن میں یہ بات آ جائے, ممکن ہے وہ اس پہ آئندہ عمل کر سکیں. یہ کتاب میلہ جس مقام پر منعقد ہو رہا ہے وہ عظیم تہذیبوں کا مرکز رہا ہے. بعض ماہرین آثار قدیمہ کے خیال میں دریائے سوان کی تہذیب کا زمانہ حجری عہد کے دور اول کو محیط ہے. مہر گڑھ, موہنجو دڑو, ہڑپا سے ہزاروں سال پہلے کا زمانہ. مسلمانوں کے بر صغیر میں آنے سے بہت پہلے ہندو اور بدھ مذہب کے اس علاقے میں سنسکرت اور پالی زبانیں بولی جاتی تھیں. کہتے ہیں رگ وید کی عظیم اور قدیم کتاب یہیں مرتب ہوئی تھی. رگ وید کی زبان جو تھی وہ سنسکرت تھی. میں ایک ایسے ہی آپ کو اس کا ایک شعر, ایک شلوک سناؤں تو آپ کو کچھ ہی اندازہ ہو جائے گا کہ وہ زبان کیسے بولی جاتی تھی. برہمڑو مکھ ماسید باہو راجنیہ کرتا, ब्रह्मणो मुखमासीद बाहु राजन्य कृतः उरुतदस्य यद वैश्य शूद्रो पदाभ्याम अजायत। ब्रह्मा के मुंह से ब्राह्मण पैदा हुए, बाहों से क्षत्रिय पैदा हुए, जांघों से शूद्र पैदा हुए, वैश्य पैदा हुए और शूद्र पैरों से पैदा हुए। ये ज़बान थी जिसे हम संस्कृत कहते हैं। गंधारा के इलाके में शारदा और तक्षशिला यूनिवर्सिटी, वेद की अजीम व कदीम किताबें यहीं मुरतब हुईं। उपनिषद कई ऐसे कहे जाते हैं जो इसी इलाके में मुरतब किए गए। गंधारा के इलाके में शारदा और तक्षशिला यूनिवर्सिटियों के बाद कौटिल्य, चाणक्य का नाम कौटिल्य जिसको अर्थशास्त्र पहले यहीं लिखी गई। ये हमारा जो पंजाब का इलाका है, यहीं दुनिया की जो हमारा सवाबी का इलाका है, यहाँ दुनिया का जो सबसे पहला ग्रामरियन था उसका नाम था पाणिनि। हम उसको पाणिनि लिखते हैं, पाणिनि उसकी किताब का नाम था अष्टाध्याय, द फर्स्ट ग्रामरियन ऑफ द नोन हिस्ट्री। वो यहाँ हमारे सवाबी में से उनका ताल्लुक़ था। ये बात मैंने इसलिए कही कि पाकिस्तान में बोली जाने वाली कमोबेश सारी ज़बानों में इन ज़बानों के असरात आप बखूबी देख सकते हैं, मगर अब ये ज़बानें हमारे लिए बिल्कुल अजनबी हो गई हैं। इस वक्त पाकिस्तान में 76 ज़बानों को बाकायदा ज़बानों के तौर पर तस्लीम किया जाता है, मगर ये है कि बात मौजूदा सूरत हाल को देखकर इनका मुस्तकबिल कुछ बहुत ज़्यादा रोशन नज़र नहीं आता। अरबाब हल्लुआक़्त जहान इल्म दानिश संजीदगी से इस सूरत हाल की तरफ मुतवज्जे नहीं हैं। अहले सियासत भी और अरबाब दानिश भी अवामी जलसों में, मीडियाई मुज़ाकरों में एहतजाजी नारों की सतह से बुलंद होकर अपनी ज़बानों के फ़रोग़ की तो क्या बक़ाओ तहफ़्फ़ुज़ की सूरत हाल पर भी गौर नहीं करते। बैनुल अक़वामी ज़बान के तौर पर अंग्रेज़ी ज़बान पर दस्तरस लाजिम, वाजिब, नागुज़ीर, मगर ज़रूरत इस बात की है कि राब्ते की ज़बान कौमी ज़बान उर्दू को फ़ौरी तौर पर सरकारी ज़बान के तौर पर नाफिज किया जाए। ये अरबाब वस्तुकुशात से दरख्वास्त भी है, मुतालबा भी है और सिफारिश भी। अपनी अपनी ज़मीनों से जुड़ी हुई ज़बानों से बोलने वालों की तहज़ीब और सकाफ़त की विरासतों और अमानतों का मुस्तक़बिल वाबस्ता है, इसका ख़याल किया जाना चाहिए। शुनीद है कि मुल्क में इंतखाबात होने वाले हैं। यकीन किया जाना चाहिए कि हमारी सियासी जमातें अपने अपने इंतखाबी मंशूर में तालीम के बारे में, निसाबों के बारे में, ज़बानों के बारे में कोई वाज़े नुक्ता नज़र का इजहार करेंगी। ख़वातीन हज़रात, सूरत अहवाल ये है कि 1922 में आज से गोया 100 साल पहले मोहनजोदड़ो की तहज़ीब दरियाफ़्त की गई थी और उसकी खुदाई हुई थी। 100 बरस हो गए उसको। तो गोया कहीं भी मैंने मुमकिन है हुई हों तकरीबात और हुए हों सेमिनार, छपी हों किताबें मेरी नज़र से न गुज़री हों, तो जो पब्लिशर्स यहाँ तशरीफ़ फरमा हैं उनसे दरख्वास्त है कि कीमतन मुझे मोहनजोदड़ो पर छपने वाली किताबें वो किसी भी ज़बान में हों फ़राहम कर दें, बड़ी मेहरबानी उनकी होगी। दूसरी बात यह है कि अगर ऐसा नहीं हुआ है तो क्या उनको ये काम नहीं करना चाहिए? क्या इतना बड़ा मौका आया और हमने उस मौके को ज़ाया किया और उस पर तवज्जो नहीं दी? आज से कोई बहुत बरस पहले जब मैं पैदा हुआ था اس وقت دوسری جنگ عظیم میں ایک ظالم کے خلاف یا کچھ ظالموں کے خلاف بہت سے طاقتور لوگ اور طاقتور طاقتیں ایک ساتھ ہو کر جمع ہو گئی تھیں، جن کو ہم الائیڈ فورسز کہتے تھے. اتحاد کیا گیا تھا ظلم کے خلاف. ظاہر ہے کہ اس نے ایک ظالم کو ہمیشہ کے لیے خاموش کیا. اب صورتحال یہ ہے کہ موجودہ صورتحال میں خیر سے سارے اتحادی ایک ظالم کے ساتھ نظر آتے ہیں، اور یہ کیسی شرمناک اور کیسی وحشتناک بات ہے. لمحہ موجود کی سب سے وحشتناک بربریت، ظلم و ستم، بہیمانہ قتل و غارت کے جیسے مناظر ارض فلسطین میں دیکھے جا رہے ہیں، انسانی تاریخ نے شاید ہی کبھی دیکھے ہوں. بنیادی انسانی حقوق سے محروم، مظلوم فلسطینی عوام کے قتل عام اور مقبوضہ فلسطینی بستیوں کی تاراجی اور پامالی کی جو روش اسرائیل نے اپنا رکھی ہے، ساری دنیا کے باضمیر افراد اس پر سراپا احتجاج ہیں. کیا آنے والا کل ان ملکوں اور ان اداروں کی بے حسی اور کم توجہی سے صرف نظر کر پائے گا جو ظالم کا ہاتھ روکنے کے بجائے اس کی حمایت میں سنوارا ہیں اور پشت پناہی کا رویہ اپنائے ہوئے ہیں؟ آخر میں فلسطینی شاعر غسان فائز کنفانی کے چند مصرے اردو ترجمہ شگفتہ شاہ کا ہے. کاش بچے موت سے ہمکنار نہ ہوں. کاش بچے موت سے ہمکنار نہ ہوں. کاش جنگ کے خاتمے تک وہ عارضی طور پر آسمانوں کی جانب چلے جائیں، پھر جب وہ بحفاظت واپس لوٹیں اور ان کے والدین ان سے پوچھیں کہ وہ کہاں تھے، تو وہ کہیں ہم بادلوں کے ساتھ کھیل رہے تھے. بڑی مہربانی، بہت نوازش.
When wars happen, I hope the kids are picked up to the skies, and when they return alive to the land and their parents ask them, "Where were you?" they would say, "We were up there playing with the clouds." That was the English translation of the poem just narrated by Iftikhar Arif Sahab. آپ نے اتنی عمدہ باتیں کہیں اور آپ نے کہا انگریزی کی سمجھ نہیں ہے. میں بہت دیر تک سوچ رہی تھی کہ جو ینگ بچے پیچھے بیٹھے ہیں، جو اسی ملک میں پیدا ہوئے ہیں اور بڑے ہوئے ہیں، ان کو آپ کی پوری اردو سمجھ میں آئی یا نہیں. یہ وہ سوال ہے جو شاید یا ہم میں سے بھی بہت سارے ہیں جن کو وہ اردو پوری سمجھ آئی ہو نہ ہو. یہ وہ اہم سوال ہے جو ہمیں بار بار اٹھانا چاہیے، کیونکہ جب تہذیبوں کو دفن کرنا ہوتا ہے تو پہلے زبان کو دفن کر دیتے ہیں. بہت بہت شکریہ. نیکسٹ کی نوٹ اسپیکر از اے فیملیئر فیس اینڈ اے ہاؤس ہولڈ نیم in the literary circles of Pakistan. She is Victoria Sheafult, the author of Fragrance of Tears, My Friendship with Benazir Bhutto. It's published by Oxford University Press in 2021. I've read almost all books on Benazir Bhutto, including Zahid Hussain. I know he's sitting somewhere here. This is a book that resonates with you. So for those of you who have not read it, please do. Victoria, the floor is yours.
Assalamu alaikum. Your Excellency, honored guests, ladies and gentlemen. میں بہت خوش ہیں کہ میں اسلام آباد لٹریچر فیسٹیول اٹینڈ کر رہی ہوں. और इस्लामाबाद में मेरे बहुत अच्छे दोस्त हैं। आपकी बहुत मेहरबानी, Oxford University Press, Arshad Said Hussain, Rahila Bakai, and all those who have worked to make this festival a success, and for inviting me. I'm honored to be one of the speakers at this inaugural opening session. I'm also honored to have spoken many times in Karachi, including at the first Karachi Literature Festival in 2010. And I shall keep coming back when I'm invited. The theme, as you've heard, of the festival this year is People, Planet, and Possibilities. In keeping with this theme, I want to talk both generally and more personally about why I'm pleased to be here and why festivals like this are such an important aspect of our interactions. For an hour, a day, or 2 days, we may be separated from the sadness and tragedy of the day-to-day world. At the same time, we have the opportunity to sit, discuss, and reflect, to evaluate perhaps our own actions in the light of the larger world canvas. What have we contributed? What more might we contribute? And I'm thinking particularly of the young ones among us here today, all you red shirts, all you students. What are your dreams? What do you hope to achieve in life? Do you have goals? What do you envisage as the possibilities for your lives? At whatever stage we are, there are always opportunities. Unlike so many others whose lives have been extinguished prematurely, so long as we do have breath in our bodies, we can contribute, participate, make a difference. So my sub-theme today is the importance, as we've already heard, especially from Arshad Syed Sab, of education, books, and understanding. Let's start again with education, a topic which is particularly relevant here for you in Pakistan, with your population of 220 million and rising. If we think back to 1951, when your population was estimated at 35 million, with a literacy rate, an optimistic literacy rate of about 50% who can perhaps read and write. But what child doesn't long to go to school, to be educated, to be literally the word of edux led out from themselves? What child doesn't enjoy learning, reading, writing, drawing, painting, the intricacies of a scientific experiment? All basic talents which are so easily taken for granted, and yet sometimes for the underprivileged, so hard to achieve. What parent doesn't want their child to progress, to fulfill their potential, to have possibilities? How many parents work hard that their children could have the education that they themselves might not have had? In the more affluent Western countries of the world, we take for granted that all children go to school. But in other parts of the world, and as we know in Pakistan, that staggering statistic of 23 to 28 million children out of school here in Pakistan, that privilege is not always available. At present, in neighboring Afghanistan, half the population is disenfranchised from education, with girls not going to school. Within no time, you will have a generation of uneducated girls. And why might one ask, is this so important? My answer is that education is non-negotiable because it leads to empowerment, the mental freedom to think rationally, to plan, to evaluate, to assess, to decide, to question, and to criticize. to explore those possibilities which are like goods in a shop window, available, but you need purchasing power. Without a quality education, and Arshad Asab, you stressed the word quality, we are not really equipped to set forth into the world. Our horizons are limited. Our activities are reduced, invariably to menial labor. Without an education, we cannot hope to achieve our full potential on this planet. But what happens when education is not education, but turns into something else, turns into propaganda? What happens when the next generation is indoctrinated with a view of history which is favorable only to a particular narrative? This is something we all have to guard against in all our respective countries, because invariably it leads to hatred, bloodshed, war, and suffering. You wouldn't, for example, encourage a child to conduct a bad scientific experiment. So why give them bad history? And as a historian, I feel very strongly that the history is the present we've just lived through. It is my firm belief that whichever country we live in, no one has the right to restrict the knowledge and learning ability of another human being. Although sadly, in this insecure world in which we live, censorship through selective reading, coupled with fake news, is becoming a trend which is contrary to the fundamental principles we all believe in: freedom of speech, freedom of thought, freedom of association. When I was growing up in the UK, our view of history was Eurocentric. The European countries going out to discover the rest of the world. We now know that this was an incorrect interpretation of history, and much has been done to improve the curriculum. When I read history at Oxford, it was compulsory to learn 2 languages. And when I started on my degree course, one of my contemporaries put her hand up to the tutor and said, "We are historians. Why do we have to study languages as well?" There was an icy silence and a glance from our tutor, who looked her firmly in the eye and said, "Not all history is written in English, dear." And this is something that we must learn. Whenever I've traveled as a journalist, I've tried to meet not just with English-speaking people, because if you only meet people who speak English, you only understand their point of view. When I came to Pakistan for the first time 45 years ago, and I do have to stress it's 45 years, which for you young ones must seem like the Dark Ages, I knew nothing about Pakistan. I hadn't actually, my curriculum did not include South Asian studies. But what I did know came from a friendship. And you all know, and you've just heard, the friendship with a charismatic woman I met at Oxford, her name Benazir Bhutto. And that is why education, in the true sense of the word, needs to be all-embracing. We mustn't find ourselves in a situation such as in China, where an anti-Japanese narrative is being taught. Recently, I was in Rwanda. You may all remember the terrible genocide in 1994, when within the space of 100 days, 500,000 people were massacred by one grouping. What I learned when I went last year to the Kigali Memorial Museum was that there had been a systematic campaign through education to make the Hutus hate the Tutsis. It wasn't a spontaneous outburst, it was a systematic campaign of education. Or closer to home, when in India, future generations are growing up learning that Pakistan is the enemy. I visited one of their new outdoor museums, and everywhere I looked on the plaques, I saw the enemy, Pakistan. To me, this is very damaging because future generations of Indians are growing up with this narrative. And very close to home, in Pakistan, you also have to guard against any curriculum which hinders and undermines knowledge in the true sense of the word. And so now, of course, my second point, I come to books. And I hope, and I'm pretty sure, especially with this audience at a literature festival, no one among us can possibly say that just because we have the internet, books are no longer relevant. And I do address my remarks to the younger generation here. Just because in the recent, I think it is getting to be 50 years or maybe 40 years or so, that knowledge might reside in one's laptop or computer or iPhone or iPad doesn't mean that one no longer has to open a book. Whatever is on the internet, in Wikipedia or other search engines, has actually all come from books. And no academic worth his salt would accept an internet link without having had it checked through a book. Of course, the internet does make it more accessible, but it doesn't mean that books are no longer relevant. They are the repositories of knowledge, of learning, handed down from generation to generation, updated, refined, expanded, consolidated. And the only way to be educated is to read, and to read widely. I'm very delighted to hear Her Excellency Jane Marriott telling me she got lost in a book. I was actually getting worried you might have got lost in Islamabad. As I've mentioned, one's horizons should not be restricted or manipulated. Once again, that's why a literature festival is so important, because it reminds us of the vast range of books which are available to enhance our knowledge. How nice is it to be able to browse the bookstall outside and pick up a book that you might not have thought you'd want to read, but then you find you would like to read it. My third point, which is probably the most important and stems from my first 2 points, is understanding. Only with a broad education, obtainable through books, can one gain any understanding about a subject or an issue. And if we are to live in harmony with our fellow citizens of the world, we need great understanding from a wide range of sources. I totally agree. You learn to read, to learn. We need to understand opposing, conflicting viewpoints. And I believe this is as important today with all the aids we have that we can access knowledge as it ever was. We might not agree with them, but we need to understand them. And so we need to read, to listen, to learn. Again, when I was studying history at Oxford, we were all told we had to read Karl Marx. Now, as you know, communism is not a political ideology which is popular in the United Kingdom, but we were told that we should learn about communism to understand why others supported the ideology in order to make up our own minds. And so just because one thinks one might not like a book or an idea, it doesn't mean you don't learn about it. I'm still very involved with the Oxford Union Debating Society, where, as you know, Benazir Bhutto was president and I was also president. And we in the United Kingdom today are fighting tremendously against what we call cancel culture and lack of freedom of speech. And every time anybody is approached by saying, you can't let that person speak, the Oxford Union says we want them to speak, we want controversial debates, we want freedom of speech. As you all know, I've spent a lifetime learning, reading, and understanding about Pakistan. Of course, it began with my friendship with Benazir Bhutto and the exposure through her I was given to your culture. I wanted to learn more. I didn't just want to be a traveler, a tourist. became fascinated with the country in difficult times, but it became to such an extent that the history of Pakistan and then its relationship with India, most especially understanding the Jammu and Kashmir dispute, literally became my life's work. I have now read more on South Asia than any other part of the world, and in doing so, I have gained that understanding, not just about Jammu and Kashmir, about which I've written so much, my own books now forming part of that great library of the world, which will remain long after we are gone, but also about the various provinces of Pakistan, the customs, languages, beliefs, history, politics. Another book I wrote was on Khyber Pakhtunkhwa at a time when it was much easier to travel. I traveled the length and breadth of what was the northwest frontier. And that led me to study the tribes and their differences, the Durand Line, which brought me to learning about Afghanistan, and of course to an even greater understanding of Pakistan and its role in the region. And if you truly, genuinely understand, you can have immense freedom. You can express your views and tell others. As I've so often done, wherever I go, I say I'm going to Pakistan, and people who don't know any better, they look at me askance and say, "Oh, are you going to be all right?" And I say, "Of course I'm going to be all right. Why wouldn't I be all right?" But unfortunately, Pakistan has had a negative press, as we know, on occasions. And so the fact that I can pass on my knowledge is part of that bigger ripple effect of understanding. Since we are all gravely concerned about the situation in the Middle East, I want to end with a particular story which is relevant. I don't know how many of you have heard of the legendary writer and traveller Dervla Murphy, an Irish woman who travelled throughout the world and then wrote about her experiences, not from the lofty comfort of living in a five-star hotel, but from living amongst the local people. One of her most famous books was called Full Tilt, which, when in the 1960s, she rode a bicycle from Ireland to India through Iran, Afghanistan, and Pakistan. Dervla Murphy died last year, but her last book, written was when she was in her 80s, was after traveling in Israel and Palestine. It's called Between River and Sea, Encounters in Israel and Palestine. She lived among Israelis and she lived among Palestinians. When I was privileged to meet her at the Bradford Literature Festival, where she launched her book, she was describing some of her experiences. On one occasion, when she was staying with some Israelis, she was telling them about the humiliating experiences she'd witnessed of Palestinians trying to go to work, the numerous body searches, the checkpoints they had to go through, which made what might have been a 20-minute journey to work take 2 hours. "Oh no," her Israeli host said, "we don't do that to our people." Dervla Murphy paused, and then she looked them straight in the eye and said, "You do, I know, I've seen it." Of course, this incident pales in the face of what is happening in the Middle East today. But I'm relating it because it illustrates the importance of education, learning, understanding. Through her book, we can learn and understand. And I also hope through my books on Kashmir, people have learnt and understood. When I wrote my memoir of Benazir and my friendship with her, I did so because I also wanted people to understand and learn what an amazingly brave and courageous woman she was. I knew because I saw it. And so, as we look forward to 2 days of discussion and debate, let us do so with this thought in mind. We need education to broaden our understanding, and we can best do so through knowledge obtainable in books, which in turn contributes to the possibilities of what we as people can achieve on this planet. So, Excellencies, honored guests, ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Aapki bahut mehrbani. Pakistan Zindabad.
Ladies and gentlemen, I find this so touching. Both our keynote speakers ended their talk on what is happening in the Middle East. One is from Pakistan, one is from the UK. The similarity of view and the thread that ran through what they had to say gives me hope, gives us hope, gives this world hope. In this polarized world, it is people like Iftikhar Arif Saab and Ms. Victoria that are our hope, and it is festivals like these that bring them together. With that, we come to the end. We have tribute to Faiz, but before that, Ms. Rahila Bakai has some more thank yous to say.
Thank you, Huma. I won't take much of the time, but I need to say special thanks to our supporters and our friends, without whose support, as I said earlier, the festival would not have been possible. Of course, the top on the list are CDA and the Getz Farmer, whose representatives are here with us. But along with that, I would like to give special thanks to New Paints by Kaiser Paints. They had been very supportive. And then we have British Council, Oxford AQA, UBank, Tapal Danedar, Millennium Education System, Tehzeeb, SMS, Nestle, Pepsi, Frederick Ebert Stiftung, SI Global, and Fly Jenna. So thank you to all these supporters, and I hope to see their representatives here, and I hope that they'll keep on joining hands with us in organizing these festivals and make every time these festivals a big success. So thank you to all our supporters, and thank you to all of you. Yes, now may I request our guests to please take the seats in the front row so that we can clear the stage and we can have Zashani, and we see Zashani with her performance. You'll all enjoy the lovely performance. Thank you.